What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. Give you a quick overview of some of the data points, break it down on what really moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did close 0.57% in the red. So not all that bad given what really happened in the broader market. But 1360 the low, 1409 the high. So definitely a very nice strong close with SoFi. 31.7 million shares being traded, 43.8 is the average. No actual news associated to SoFi, no SEC filings, couple different attributing factors. One is right here, so analysts were looking at inflation, seeing the forecast being 2.9, and just saying that even if it comes in line with the forecast, there could be a potential pullback associated to that because it would still be relatively high. So ultimately, I think a lot of people are just seeing this now as a lose-lose scenario, unless it comes in like at 2.6 possibly, which might be a little bit far-fetched. And then as well, this kind of disrupted the broader market. This came out pre-market, so just Biden proposes new export curbs on AI chips. So that's what really dragged the market down. But there was one thing that came out midway through the day that somewhat helped SoFi, and that was this right here. So James Comer, so Republican House out of Kentucky, shows that they did buy on January the 2nd, 2 different times of SoFi. So it kind of ranges, so it obviously it says undisclosed, so I don't think there was a definitive number attached, but anywhere from 1,000 to 15,000. So a lot of, I think what really put this out there was a couple posts on Twitter saying that they bought 30,000. I think in reality that can't be actually confirmed because it does show as undisclosed. So again, something to kind of consider. A lot of people like to follow what political figures do as far as buys and whatever else. So that's what gave SoFi a little bit of a extra edge. And in my opinion, I think that came at very, very good timing because as far as SoFi, right now it is at like a very critical do or die point. It's either going to really break up very, very fast or it is going to break lower. So something to kind of keep in mind, but I'm going to go over that in the technicals in a second. As far as shorts, they did return, it does show 9.63 million shares. 11.99% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 127.84 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow minimum is negative 0.11. So pretty good stuff. Obviously, you see some signs of manipulation, but the reason why it is showing as negative like 10 million for them to return, it is because there was a new disclosure today. So as of December the 30th, there was 129.1 million shares overall being shorted, and that works out to be 12.13% of the free float. So usually what Ortex and a lot of other platforms do, they take this information, calculate up to today's date. So that's how you do have the new short interest being 11.99%. So pretty good stuff as far as that. Moving over to options though, 14 million in calls, 5.48 in puts. A lot of big money getting into SoFi and a lot of bullishness. And so as I've kind of mentioned in the past, I cover a lot of different stocks. 90% of all of them were bearish as far as the sentiment for options, not with SoFi. So 50% all was done today was optimistic and bullish. And just generally, you can kind of see today was a little bit low on the volume front, but still with it being bullish, I think is kind of a good thing. 19.9 million in total premiums, 26.9 on Friday, then 18.3 on the Thursday. Aside from that, of the call options that were purchased today, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $16 range. So a nice recovery, and that could be because of CPI or possibly, like I said, based on the technicals, it is pointing that it could have a very nice push higher. But looking at the bears, they are anticipating for it to be sub roughly for this week 13 and then 12 for next week. So a little bit more upside is anticipated. These are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So you did really have algorithmic trading really working on kind of the helping pushing it higher, as well at the same time shorts. So majority of these transactions, especially first thing, this is what caused it to get to that crazy low string of sellers right here, and even right up here as well around the tail end you kind of had some selling as well. So let me know your viewpoint on that. As far as this goes with it at 1407, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 1384 is going to be the next strong support to watch for in the next couple days. 1341 is going to be the following support. 1453 and then 1522 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. As far as data, tomorrow you do have PPI, so that is coming out first thing. Forecast right now for that is 0.3, so kind of just stay tuned for that. But moving on from here, going over to the actual chart itself, on a side note, no new analyst ratings or anything like that, but today the ALMA did close below that 50-day moving average, and that 50-day moving average has been one point that I've been really kind of sharing with you. That is a somewhat of a warning. If SoFi does close below it, and then in theory you can kind of see a little bit of a pullback. But with the ALMA kind of so far right now closing below it by 1 cent, so 14.59 compared to 14.60, this is where you could see a kind of a squeeze, if that makes sense. And that's based on just the support and resistance points kind of converging. So you could see a very aggressive pop up, nothing crazy, so I'm not like you won't see 20 or anything like that, but you could see once again maybe a retest of the 15, or potentially, if depending on what happens, you could see a little bit of a inverse pop as well. So it is going to have a lot of volatility in the next little bit, either up or down. It will all come down to buyers, and so far, especially based on today, you did see a lot more transactions on the secondary market than normal, so that's kind of a good thing. And if PPI comes out better than anticipated, then you could see that nice pop upwards. Inverse, like I said, could happen if PPI comes in negative. So regardless, anticipate a lot of volatility in the foreseeable future for SoFi, but I think in general, if you are buying the SoFi dip, you might work out to be very beneficial in the long term, especially with their upcoming earnings. I have been monitoring just to see if any analysts have any changes to the estimates, and so far nothing, because keep in mind you can kind of change estimates without changing your official rating, but still it looks like it is relatively the same. So same 13 analysts over the last 4 weeks for earnings per share, so no change for that. And then for revenue, kind of a little bit lower, a little bit higher. So it did go from 663.94 million to 669.12. So analysts have changed revenue to be rather bullish from the previous. So no change to earnings per share, a little bit change to the revenue, but I'll still continue to monitor just to see if there is any changes leading it up to the last couple of days of their earnings. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. What's your thoughts on, for instance, this individual politician buying? Do you think this is a good signal, or do you think it's just no different than a retail investor buying? So what's your viewpoint? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon where I give buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. I do swing trades, day trades. I do long-term posts as well. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.